Welcome back. U.S. officials and an aid organization in Haiti have welcomed the release of an American nurse and her daughter who were kidnapped near the Haitian capital last month. The group Haiti says they were abducted from the organization's campus July 27th, but it's still unclear who took them or why. Alex Dawsonville, a health worker from New Hampshire, moved to Haiti to offer nursing care for school children. The group asked that no one contact the family while they process and heal from this ordeal. Joining me now is Jacqueline Charles, Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So today, the American nurse Alex Dawsonville and her daughter were finally released after being kidnapped at gunpoint 13 days ago. We don't have a lot of details about that release, but can you give us a sense of the feeling from people you're speaking to in Haiti?
Well, definitely the organization that she worked for, Haiti, which is a Christian humanitarian aid organization, they released a statement and they're very grateful, both to the support that they've received and also to God for ensuring this release. And of course, as you know, there were protests by some of the people in the community that has been helped by Miss Dorsonville and this organization. So they, of course, are happy. But I have to remind everyone that there are still others who remain in captivity, one of which is the former head of the Electoral Council. He's being held now for more than a month.
Wow, yeah. I mean, this is far from a unique situation. These abductions in Haiti are on the rise. We know that 300 women and children have been kidnapped in the first 6 months of this year. And most typically taken are locals, right?
Well, yes. I mean, Haitians every day are targeted and they have been kidnapped, but we've also seen a number of foreigners. It's still unclear how many of them are American citizens. When we've asked, we don't really get that information. But there is a local organization on the ground that monitors kidnapping. And again, this remains an underreported epidemic, but we have seen a number of foreigners that have also been held hostage. But yes, you're correct. Most of them are locals, are Haitians.
Jacqueline, the situation in Haiti has been deteriorating for years, especially since the assassination of the president 2 years ago. Gang violence has soared. We know that the acting prime minister has called for foreign troops to intervene. This is what one resident had to say about that. Just take a listen.
I hear about the question of the foreign troops that will come. If they come, they'll be useful to us. Her kidnapping made us feel afraid to move around. Before that, in the small area, we could stay out until late, 10 or 11 at night. Now we can't because of kidnappings. Even if the hospital might reopen its doors, we'll always be afraid of the area due to the reported kidnap cases here.
Just give us a sense of what most people in Haiti want. Do they want foreign intervention?
I think what most people in Haiti agree on, regardless of where they stand on this issue of foreign intervention, is they want to be able to breathe. They want to have a sense of security. Now, some people think that you can get that with the Haitian police force, which is roughly 3,300 police officers throughout the country on any given day on public safety duty. And imagine this is a country with a population of 12 million. And then there are other people who acknowledge that the police just cannot do this job on their own and they need some assistance. And that's what you've heard from the United States, the UN, in terms of seeking out a multinational force, a country to lead this. So this is not going to be a group of foreign police officers or even military personnel who are going to come in and replace the Haitian National Police, but they're going to work hand in hand, allow them to continue to hold ground in areas where they've been able to move in and take control of gang control areas. Because right now the police are really, really stretched thin. When you think about the fact that in January 29th, we had just outside of the Capitol, you had a police station that was attacked 3 times. You had over a dozen cops that were killed in a span of just a couple of days. And you have a police unit that has been out every single day chasing after gangs with no rest at all. And yet every time they seem to make some inroads, we get back to where we're seeing an escalation in the gang violence and an escalation in kidnappings, which last month led to the U.S. Embassy basically ordering the evacuation of U.S. citizens and the withdrawal of non-emergency personnel from their embassy.
Yeah, and I did want to ask you about that, given that the US government has done that, has ordered those non-emergency government personnel to leave, and has issued these travel advisories. Do you expect more people to flee, more aid agencies to potentially not even work in the country?
Well, that is something that we've been seeing and we've been monitoring over the last couple of years, that as the violence and kidnappings have escalated, a number of aid agencies have quietly pulled out. Alex Dorsonville works for a Christian humanitarian group that works in Port-au-Prince. If you recall, there were 16 American missionaries as well as a Canadian that were also kidnapped. Locally here in South Florida, when we talk to Haitians in the diaspora that would go down to Haiti and go to some of these far reach places in the rural areas to provide health care, they haven't been able to go because of the reality that, one, they can't move from one region to the other by road. Second of all, there's that fear of basically falling victim to either to the violence or to the kidnapping.
Jacqueline Charles from the Miami Herald, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.